very warm welcome to this next GlobeDrought e-course series. My name is Susanne Luithlen and I'm Head of Sector Strategy, Knowledge and Learning at Welthungerhilfe, a German NGO which is fighting hunger and poverty worldwide.
And hello, my name is Daniel Rupp and I am Advisor for Economic Development and also the GlobeDrought Research Coordinator. So Welthungerhilfe contribution to the research consortium is mainly about providing the practitioner perspective. So today we'll see some basic concepts about food security and its relation to drought.
Our lecture today will aim at providing answers to the following three questions. How do we define the concept of food security and what are its key dimensions? How can we describe pathways from drought to food insecurity? What are response strategies and key principles in addressing food insecurity caused by drought? The concept of food security has evolved over time. The latest definition was agreed in 2012 at the Committee on World Food Security. It states that food and nutrition security exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to food, which is safe and consumed in sufficient quantity and quality to meet their dietary needs and food preferences, and is supported by an environment of adequate sanitation, health services, and care, allowing for a healthy and active life. What is important to note from this definition is the broader concept including nutrition. We talk about food and nutrition security. This concept includes three main dimensions and one cross-cutting. We will now have a look into each of these dimensions. The three dimensions are availability of food, access to food, use and utilization of food. One cross-cutting dimension concerns all these three main dimensions. It is the stability dimension and takes into account the time factor. Food and nutrition security must exist at all time, even if drought occurs. Availability of food is about the physical existence of food, either from own production, from markets, from existing stocks, from food imports, or from food aid. Access to food is mainly the economic capacity to buy food. Food could be available at the market, but not accessible to the poorest because of lack of money. Access to food is also about the capacity to access physical markets. It concerns proper infrastructure. Is there a road to food markets? The last main dimension of food and nutrition has in fact two aspects. We talk about use and utilization of food. Use of food refers to the socio-cultural relation to food. Who decides what to eat at the household? Who prepares food? How is it distributed among family members? The cultural aspect in food preparation, eating habits and food taboos, sometimes also restricted by belief and religion. Utilization of food refers to the ability of the individual human body to digest food and convert it into energy, growth, or reserves. Good utilization of food requires a healthy diet, including all required micronutrients, vitamins, but also a healthy environment. As an example, someone drinking unsafe water may have diarrhea and thus not absorbing properly nutrients. Access to health services has also its importance here, to treat illness and guarantee proper utilization of food. Stability is cross-cutting all other dimensions: availability, access, use and utilization. This is the time dimension of food and nutrition security. Instabilities can be a chronic situation, just as it occurs in many rain-fed smallholder agricultural systems. Every year, farmers face a food shortage period as reserves from past year harvest diminish. It can be also a sudden crisis due to war, for example, forcing populations to move away, leaving their fields and households, by floods, earthquakes destroying roads and markets, and of course, drought.
As explained by Susanne, drought in the concept of food and nutrition security refers to the stability dimension and may lead to an acute food security crisis. Practitioners like Welthungerhilfe refers to a framework from UNICEF that was defined in 1991. It helps in assessing causes of malnutrition and identifying pathways from a causal factor to food and nutrition insecurity. On top of the framework, we find the malnutrition status. This is a manifestation of causes occurring at different levels. At the individual level, an inadequate food intake or a disease can cause malnutrition. In fact, this goes together. Someone sick often loses appetite, and someone not eating food will likely fall sick. These are the immediate cause level. At household level, food security factors include availability and access to food. Care for children and women have a strong influence. And third, access to health services and healthy environment will directly relate to the disease causal factor of malnutrition. These are known as the underlying causes. At the bottom of the conceptual framework are the basic causes. We start from the potential resources. In a given area, what are the resources in terms of soil, water, forest, or any other resources? How this is then used? This is defined by the socio-economic factors and derives from political and ideological factors. Who has control over these potential resources and how is it used? A drought event is first changing the potential resource on water. A drought occurs as a basic cause for food and nutrition insecurity. It is context-specific, and pathway from drought to household food insecurity, or lastly malnutrition, is explained through different other factors, such as economic structure or governance. Let's have a look again at the GlobeDrought framework for drought risk. You can see that food and nutrition security dimensions are embedded into the vulnerability box. The direct and indirect impacts are observed through food security and malnutrition indicators. The stability dimension can be related to the hazard box. The selected indicators in GlobeDrought project for the drought risk framework that is used for global and regional analysis include indicators for food and nutrition security. Understanding pathways from drought to food and nutrition insecurity is context-specific. GlobeDrought model provides a strong analytical tool and engage with local stakeholders for identifying key drivers in drought risk.
80% of the world hungry live in rural areas. These are the most exposed and vulnerable to drought risk. How does an organization like Welthungerhilfe work to address this challenge? We advocate for the implementation of the right to food. We support civil society organizations to participate, influence, and contribute to local and macro-level politics. You see here that all sectors have a role to play in addressing food and nutrition security. The instruments to prevent and manage food crises include early warning systems. This is important, especially in the event of drought. Being able to inform decision makers in the shortest time possible about a drought event and its likely impact will result in better policies and responses, thus fight hunger and malnutrition of the most exposed and vulnerable. Key principles for defining strategies in addressing food and nutrition insecurity are: multi-sectoral approach. As we have seen, every sector has a role to play. Stakeholder integration. Local stakeholders provide the best knowledge and insights on problems and ways to address them. As already seen, every context is specific and requires sound local analysis of food and nutrition insecurity causes before proposing solutions. We look at the broader perspective through systems thinking. Contributing to sustainable food systems is key in achieving food and nutrition security.
Addressing drought risk is done through improving capacities or reduce vulnerabilities by building community resilience, that is, absorption, adaptation, and transformation capacities. Improving drought risk and impact understanding. Research cooperation is highly important, just as illustrated in our GlobeDrought project, and translate into early warning systems and drought responses.
For further learning on the topic, we recommend you to read Welthungerhilfe's publications. The Sustainable Food and Nutrition Security Orientation Framework that provides background information on key concepts and indicators, analysis methods and intervention strategies. Sustainable Food and Nutrition Security and Changing Climate Conditions that provides basic principles for strategies and practical actions. The Climate Proofing Tool that provides methods for taking into account climate change in project design and implementation. Also relevant, the yearly Global Hunger Index publications. Every year has a specific topic of focus. In 2013, the report focused on resilience. In 2019, the latest report, the focus is on climate change.
About resources from key stakeholders, you will find relevant information in the START Network website. Welthungerhilfe is a member of the START Network that aims at improving performance of the humanitarian actors through faster analysis, better preparedness and responses to humanitarian crises, including drought. FAO website on drought and FAO emergency website with a focus on drought. The integrated phase classification, that is an early warning system looking at food and nutrition security crises. The World Food Programme Insight about drought. The UNCCD Drought Toolbox. We warmly invite you to join the coming webinar from GlobeDrought that will focus on Zimbabwe, with special contribution and perspective from Zimbabwean stakeholders.
We hope that this short e-course provided you with interesting background knowledge and the expected references. Thank you very much for your attention.